Yeah, so last time we talked, you guys mentioned that you wanted to learn a little bit about comps. Just a show of hands, who has pulled comps so far? Martha, I know you have. Anyone else? Patrick? Okay, good. Okay, cool. And I think I might have went over comps with you before, right, Pat?
No, I think we went over how to schedule a buyer's tour, and then
Oh, got
I
it.
don't think we ever got to comps.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. So basically, comps is a really important skill for you to master. Because obviously, our job is to be an advisor to our client, right? So when we start talking about, hey, what price should we go in at? Or if you have a listing appointment and you want to figure out what price that you want to list your listing at, this is definitely going to be a really helpful tool in order for you to advise your clients the right way. So let's jump right into it. So really, there's two ways that I do my comps. And the reason why is, as you'll start to see, once you start seeing hella homes and your client's like, hey, I'm interested in this one, I'm interested in that one, I'm interested also in the other one. So it's going to be like, fuck, I'm going to pull comps like for 3 different properties, and I don't even really know if they want to put an offer in on it, right? You just want to start educating them and give them an idea of where the comps are at. If that's the case, what I do is I go to Cloud CMA, and I click on create new report, go to CMA. You guys can see my screen okay, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the client, let's just say client 1. Okay. So I'm actually pulling these comps for a client because we saw this property yesterday and they're interested in it. So kill 2 birds with 1 stone, show you guys how to do comps, but also pull comps for them. So you type in the subject address here. And then if you scroll down, you can click on this button right here, automatically find listings near subject property. Okay. And then you do fetch listings. Okay, and you guys, I think, let me ask you this. Does everyone have Paragon? Is everyone with Bridge Association, or who's with who? Bridge, if you're with Bridge, raise your hand. V, you are too, right?
Yeah, sorry, I'm on mute.
Okay, it's all good. How about you, Ryan?
I'm with SFAR. I'm with SFAR, but I'm gonna probably transfer over to Bridge soon.
Okay, cool. I mean, it doesn't really matter because you're gonna have access to all of it. When I first started, I was actually with CCAR because I ended up with a office out here in Walnut Creek. But anyways, so when you do that quick and dirty search, basically all these listings come up, right? So you can kind of start going through them, and for whatever reason, they just pull the ones that they think are the closest to the subject property. So this is a great way, like let's say, like I said, in the scenario when you're showing hella homes, they want to know what comps look like for like 3 different homes. And, you know, when you're pulling actual comps, it takes like a good 30 minutes to an hour. I know when I first started pulling comps on Paragon, it would take me over an hour sometimes just because I wasn't familiar with it. But this is a quick and easy way for you to just send it to them. So basically, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and, like, you can press this right here, include all. And then it'll include all of the listings around there, okay? And so it shows you 15 sold, 4 pending, 1 active, and then you can also see the low, the median, the average, and high prices in that area. So right off the bat, I know that in this neighborhood, for this size home, for a 2-bed, it's actually a 3-bedroom, 1.5. But anyways, so like you can see that the average price in this area is around $763, okay? And mind you that comps are pretty subjective because when you start looking at homes, I mean, in certain neighborhoods, homes are really different. So albeit that the square footage and the room count might be similar, the house itself is going to be different, right? Lot size and all that. But anyways, this is just a good fast way for you to send some reports. So once you do that, you can press customize report. Okay, guys, if I'm going too fast, or if you want me to explain anything, just raise your hand or just feel free to interrupt. And then they have a list of things that they can include. Like these are all the stuff on the left side that you can add. So like, let's say chapter page pricing. You want to put that in it, right? And then it shows you, that's just the, so like 3-point pricing overview. Like you can add all these different kinds of features. So, you know, when you have time, look through some of this, like the importance of communication. To me, this shit's redundant, especially if it's a client you've been working with. So I don't include any of these. I just feel like these are the most important things. The title page, obviously, it's comparative market, our company. And if you click on that little eyeball icon right here, it'll show you what the page looks like. I don't need to show them what our company is about, so I'll get rid of that. Map of all listings. This is obviously an important one because it shows you where the listings are, along with the address, price, and information. Okay. So, and then summary of comparable properties. This is also really important because you want them to start looking through it, and you can see, you know, when it's sold, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what the square footage is, what the price is, what the price per square foot is. Okay, so that's important. And then there's details of the actual properties that are on the CMA list so that they can actually start seeing pictures and things like that. So I'll go ahead and publish it. Okay, and then I'll copy the link, or you can email it directly from Cloud CMA, but I like to copy the link. And what I'll do is I'll go here to my email, and let's say I'm sending it to my client Annie, and blah, 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 whatever. Okay, subject, CMA report for 5917 Burlingame. Okay, and then, so do you guys use Mixmax? Can I see a show of hands who's using Mixmax? Okay, so the cool thing about this is if you use Mixmax, you can set up templates. So I have templates for CMA reports because I send these out so frequently. So when I click on CMA report, it goes, good afternoon, blah, 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 blah. So I'll obviously change the name to whoever the client is. So in this case, it's Chris and Annie. And then I'll change out the address, obviously 5917 Burlingame, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll add a button. So that link that I copied, oh shit, that's not one. So I put CMA report and then put the link there. Okay, and then insert it. Okay, and then I can just send this off. So in this case, this template doesn't apply because this is for the other comps that I'm going to show you, or the other way I do comps, which I'll show you here in a minute. But usually I'll just put like, good afternoon, Chris and Annie. Here are some quick comps in the area. Let me know if you have any questions, blah, blah, blah. And if you are interested in putting in an offer, I'll put a more detailed and more relevant comp search for you, okay? But this right here is what I'll send them when, you know, when they're kind of interested, but they just want to know what the comps look like. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, I've actually ran one of those. So this is sort of when you it's like a rough quote, I'm assuming. It's kind of like these are comps, but this isn't drilled down to the most granular detail.
Exactly. So basically, like you'll see this, and Martha, Ryan, I'm sure you're starting to see this because you're starting to see more homes with clients. But when you're showing homes, they're going to be like, you know, let's say we show 6 homes, right? And they're interested in 3 of them. And they're like, I just want to know like what the price ranges for these homes might be. Instead of pulling like you said, granular micro comps, I can just send this to them because look, that took what, 5 minutes? You know what I mean? You do that in 5 minutes, send it off to them. It's impressive because you got it over to them so fast. And you can literally do this on your phone because all you got to do is click that little button. You know what I mean? So you go create and again, you can do like iPad or phone, whatever. All you do is click this right here, add your subject property address and the client's name. And then boom, you have a CMA report within 5 minutes. Send it off to them. They're impressed. It's easier for you. And then, you know, you preface it by saying, hey, this was just quick comps that I pulled. If you are interested in the property, let me know. I'll share disclosures with you and pull some more detailed comps for you. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So now let's go into pulling the comps on Paragon. Okay, so I typed in the address here, and the power search came up, so I have all the information on deck here, okay? And then you go to search, okay? And if you guys want to pull up Paragon and kind of go through this with me, it might be more helpful and easier for you to remember, but also this is recording too. So I'll upload this in our group and also to the company Slack, so that if you do forget the steps, you can come back for reference. So if you guys are ready, I'll go ahead and get started. You guys there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what I first do is in the power search, I'll type in the address of the subject property, okay, so that I have all the vital information that I need to run the comps, okay? And then you go to search, and your search bar is going to look different than mine because during Christmas, I'm a little sucker, and I changed my background in this cute Christmas thing, but I forgot to change it back, so it's still Christmas. So you go to search, and when you do that, there's these different options, but you go to residential. Now, let's say you're running comps for a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, then you would go to residential income, and so on and so forth if it's lots of land or mobile homes or whatever, or commercial. But most often, it's going to be residential, sometimes residential income. I haven't done lots for land or mobile homes yet, but just so you know, if you're running comps for that, that's how you do it. So let's go and click on the residential tab. Okay. And then once this pops up, some of your fields and stuff might be different. Like I know for when I first started, the listing agent tab wasn't there. And some of these weren't there. And then if you don't see what you're looking for, there's also a secondary and advanced criteria tab. So if you wanted to get in the nitty gritty. And so when you click on this search residential tab, this isn't just for running tabs. Like let's say you were looking in a specific area for a client. So then like, you know, you put active and then maybe do a map search to like specifically focus on the area they're interested in or whatever the case might be. But basically if you know, on the home search or on the home tab, I don't know what's going on. All right, whatever. So basically the residential search is where you're gonna run all your, okay, God damn it. Okay, so like quick search is where you would normally use, I don't know about you guys, but this is what I normally use if I was like searching for something really quick. But if you wanted to do like an actual in-depth search of properties in certain areas or certain cities, things like that, this is where you can kind of hone in and write all the details. Like let's say they're specifically looking for a house with a lot size no smaller than 5,000 square feet, or they want only a one-story home, things like that, right? So this tab is really helpful when you're doing in-depth searches for your client. But we use this also to pull comps. So on status, when you're running comps, you want to see all active. You also want to see all pending and all sold. Okay, those are the pertinent points of data. Okay, I leave the county, city, and area blank because usually I'll search by the map, which is going to be a little bit more accurate and what we're looking for. Price, I'll also leave blank. In this case, it's a single family home, and I'm only interested in single family homes, so you would put detached. Okay, and then I go down to closing date, and I want to see a range of, let's say, I usually start with 6 months, and if there's not enough data, or too much data, I can come back here and adjust it. So 6 months is pretty relevant, right? So I do 6 months back, okay? And then I'll go to map, okay? And then I'll type in the address here. So it's 5917 Burlingame, Richmond. Okay, and guess what? It pulls up that area, right? So what I'll usually start with, and so as you get to know the area and the better that you know the area, the easier it is going to be for you to pull comps, right? So I know that everything across San Pablo Avenue here is going to be a part of El Cerrito, which is a different neighborhood and is going to have different comps, right? So what I'm going to do is I go to draw and I'll do the polygon button. And usually highways and main streets and main thoroughfares are going to be like dividers, right? So I'll go like down to Burlingame and just map it within these boundaries, okay? Because that's a pretty small area. And usually, like, if there's not enough data in this small little area, what I'll do is I'll include the surrounding areas as well, okay? So in this case, if I go to run search, in the last 6 months, there's been 9 sales in this area, okay? So that's kind of, you know, that's actually a pretty good sample of what I'm looking for. But let's get more specific. So if you go back to the criteria button, we can add in some square footage. So if you go back to the power search tab, I see that the house is about 1,700 square feet, okay? Where I like to start is about 200 under and 200 over. So if it's 1,700, I'll start at 1,500 to about 1,900, okay? And when I do that, there's only one, okay? And that's probably for the active property that I'm looking at right now, okay? So what I'll go ahead and do is go back to the map search. Actually, there's a couple of things I can do there. So since there's only one, I can either go back a little bit further in time to 12 months, okay? And even then, there's only 3, which is a really small sample. You need more comps than that, right? So I'll go ahead and expand the square footage a little bit. So I'll put 2,000 and let's take it down to 1,400. Okay, that's still pretty small and that's still 12 months back. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it back to 6 months, go back to the map search and add a little bit more because this area that I have highlighted is considered Richmond Annex, right? But let's take it down to Central Avenue where I know is the other boundary for Richmond Annex, okay? So you go to draw, polygon, and basically draw another box. Okay, so like if you look at the CMA report that the cloud pulled, let's just see what they included, because then you can kind of compare and contrast. Okay, so on here, it looks like they pulled a couple across from San Pablo, and then they also pulled some on the west side of the 80. But really, the area that I want to focus on is this Richmond Annex zone, because once you cross the 80, it's technically Richmond. Once you cross San Pablo, it's considered El Cerrito. So really, for me, the most relevant comps is going to be in this area, right? So that's what I mean. Oh shit, I just closed it. But that's what I mean. Like if you, like just as a quick overview, you can use Cloud CMA. But if you want to get nitty gritty and have more control of what your comps are going to look like, I would manually draw this in. Okay, so now let's go back to run search. Okay, there's still only 2. Okay, so if that's the case, let's expand it a little bit more. So 1,200 to 2,200, which is pretty broad. But again, like I want to keep it broad, and then you want to hone in, right? So you know what? Let's just do 1,000 to 2,000 and see what it brings. So 11. That's a pretty good sample size, right? Within the last 6 months, we have about 11. So that's kind of how you want to do it. You want to reverse engineer the comps when you're pulling it, right? Because you want to start big and then kind of hone in on where you want to go. And if there's not enough data, then you want to go, start going back out again. Like, 1,000 to 2,000, that's a lot. That's a pretty big range, but, there's just not a whole lot of comps there. So let's see what it looks like. So run results. If you click the status button in the bar, it'll go ahead and do it like this. So when you're looking at comps, like what I like to do is, and this is a really helpful tip, and I don't know if I brought it up for you yet, but we will in a second. Okay, so this is our subject property. The lot size is 6,200, so it's bigger than all of these here. And then the square footage is also pretty much the biggest as far as the ones in the sales go, right? Yeah, so really the most relevant comp, so Burlingame is a 3-1, and then the one that's pending on Butte is 5,000 square feet and around 1,200. So it's like 400 square feet smaller, but it's a 3-2. So it's kind of in the same range. So if you click on that one, and mind you, the listings that are pending are going to be the most relevant. Why? Because that's when that closes, that's going to be the new comp in the area. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So if you scroll down, it shows you the buyer's agent. It also shows you how many offers there were. So this one is pending, which means that it probably got off the market. Let's see, off market 331. So a little over a month ago, it went pending, and I wonder why it's still pending, because that's a long time. But you know that there's at least 12 buyers in that neighborhood, and that's going to be a factor too when you're writing an offer. When you're explaining to your client, you're going to be like, hey, there's a 3-2 down the street, slightly smaller, around the same price range, and there's 12 offers there. What that means is there's going to be about 11 buyers potentially still looking in this area. Does that make sense? So you know that this is a pretty hot neighborhood, because when we started pulling comps up in this size and in this range, there just wasn't a whole lot. When we put 6 months at 15 or 4, what did I do? 14 to 2,200 square feet, there was like 1 or 2 listings. So it just shows you there's not a whole lot of inventory for this kind of size and this kind of style of home. So it shows you that there's at least 11 other buyers, and that's going to affect your purchase price, right? Because you know there's going to be heavy competition. So what I would do is I would call the pendings and just like, hey, I'm pulling comps in this area. I see that you're pending. Congratulations. May I ask you ballpark where you're pending at so that I can advise my client? Does that make sense to you guys and why you would do that?
Totally.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, Eric, let me.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a quick question. So I noticed that you didn't put in the bed, bath in the search criteria. Do you normally not do that and then just look at the matrix and sort of measure it out from there?
Yeah, so it's kind of a toss-up, right? Like I think for me, I feel like square footage is going to be a little bit more relevant, but it just depends. In this case, there just wasn't a whole lot of data to begin with, so I wanted to kind of keep it broad. But let's say there was like 30 different solds, right? In that case, I would definitely narrow it down. Not only do the square footage, but also put in the bed and bath count. You know, and especially if there's like 30 or 40 listings that sold in the last 6 months, I'll get real specific with it. And like in this case, it's a 3-1.5, right? So I'll put 3-3-2-2 so that it's specifically you know, a comparable. So if we did that, there's only 3. One's active. The active comps don't really help, right?
Right.
Because you don't know what it's going to sell for. It's really the pendings and the solds. So really for me, I think the closest comp that's going to be for me is this one right here that's pending. Number of offers 12. And then this one, but it's a lot smaller. It's 600 square feet smaller than our subject, and it's sold for $890. So when I'm advising my client, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to guess it's going to go like anywhere from, you know, 9 to 950 is what I'm guessing. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So yeah, that's pretty much the thick of it, guys. It's just kind of plugging in numbers, kind of playing around with it. Unfortunately, this is kind of a bad example because there's just not a whole lot of data that's really similar to this. So it goes to show me that this house is a lot bigger than most of the houses that have sold in the area. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so, because like on this comp list, there was one that sold for, on Sacramento, it was a 2-2, 1,300 square feet. And you know what? This is probably for the last year too. So that's, you know, we can also do that. So you can play around with it. Go back to criteria. And let's go back to the first example. So if it's 1,700 square feet, I usually go 2 under, 2 over. So let's do 1,500, and then let's do 2,000. Okay, and then instead of 6 months, we can go back 12 months back. Okay, there's only 5. Okay, So let's broaden it a little bit more. And there's 8. 8's a pretty good sample size, but I'm not super stoked on that. And it's good to compare maybe slightly smaller. Okay, so there's 13 now. Okay, so let's look at that and see what it is. Okay, so there's not as many new ones, which is good, right? Because like I said, the ones you really want to be looking at are the pendings and solds. So having said that, so this one is 1,500 square feet, and the lot size is 5,000. Okay, our subject one is 6,216, so it's slightly smaller, both on lot and square footage. But as far as bedroom count, ours was the 3-1, theirs is a 4-1, and it sold for $955. See, to me, that seems more relevant, but it sold back in August of last year. Okay, so I mean, it's still relevant. And I wouldn't go any further than a year back. A year is pretty relevant. I mean, ideally, you want to focus on 3 months to 6 months because obviously that's going to be the most relevant. But when there's just not a whole lot of comps in that time frame, you just want to adjust your numbers and go back a little further. Does that make sense to you guys? I mean, this house is super updated, and in my opinion, because I saw the other house yesterday, I mean, as far as cuteness goes, it's about the same level of cuteness. The bathrooms are about the same as far as updatedness, but their kitchen is a lot more updated, right? So I think in my view, I mean, ours is still slightly bigger too. So this is a pretty close comp. Ours is listed at $750. This one's listed at $799. Ours is 1,700 square feet. This one is 1,500 square feet, so 200 smaller, 250 smaller. 100 or 1,000 square foot smaller in lot square footage, and this one sold for $955. So I'm gonna I would advise, this is a pretty close comp. I would advise my client to look at this one. What else? So this one is a 2-2, 1,300 square feet, and that one sold for $917. This one has a bigger lot. Okay, so this is also a really close comp right here. 7,200 square feet, 1,000 bigger than ours, 1,762, about 100 square feet bigger than ours. So then you click on it, you start taking a look at it. So the kitchen's a little bit more updated than ours. I'd say this is a pretty close comp. 3-2. The bathroom's pretty much the same. I think a lot of these homes in this area all have the same kind of, because at one point these were like model homes, you know what I mean? So they're all going to be pretty similar. There's going to be a whole lot of variation. Like if you go to Oakland Hills, all the homes are custom built, so they're all really, really different. So when you're pulling comps for that, it's going to be a little bit harder, and you're going to go off of, you're mostly going to go off of the square footage and bedroom count, right? Because they're going to be so different. But yeah, so this, oh, look at this. This was sold by Dewey.
Hey.
Hey, I love when I see my fellow teammates on here. And this one sold back in October of last year, so it's still pretty relevant. And then let's see. And this one had 4 offers. So again, this is pretty close to what we're looking for. And I think so far, out of all the comps that we pulled, this is the closest list. Okay. So now what I do to send it to my client is this. Okay. So the first step I do is I go to email. I click on all the listings and I go compose email. Okay. If I highlight that and click on insert edit link, it's going to give me the actual link. I'll go ahead and copy that. Okay. What else I'll do is I'll go to the map search. and I will take a snapshot of it. Okay. And again, guys, this is just how I was trained to do it and how I've been doing it. You're gonna find your own way probably on how to do it. But this way you get a little perspective on how, maybe different people do their comps, okay? So I got a snapshot of the map. I got the email. What else I'll do is I'll go ahead and organize it, click on the status button so it's all lined up. What I'll do is I go to print, okay, and I will save it as a PDF, okay, because when you show this, providing the spreadsheet is pretty important because they can compare the numbers, right? And I always save it as spreadsheet and then the number address. Save. So that's saved. And then, I don't know, this is a really cool trick too. If you click on all the boxes and then you go to actions, you can actually link it with Cloud CMA. So when you do that, it populates all the listings that you just pulled into the Cloud CMA format.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's a really, really helpful tip. So basically, the first way that I showed you, it's basically at the whim of Cloud CMA, and you're just kind of using what they pull for you, which again is a really big time saver. And then you go to fetch listings, and then it shows you all the MLS numbers here, and then you leave this blank because now you've already populated your own set of data. So then you go to fetch listings. And then you go to customize report. And then you want to look at like what's included. Because again, you can add all this shit, and then this is already saved for me like this because this is what I send usually. But for you, when you first pull this up, there's going to be a whole list of bullshit, like all that goes all the way down here that you probably don't need to include. Like there's like stuff like why you should use a real estate agent, why comps are important, and all this other bullshit. You don't need all that, like all this stuff. Like you can add all this stuff. So look through it, to each their own. You might want to include some of it. And you publish report. Okay, and then I go copy PDF link. Okay, so now I have all the information I need to make a snazzy looking email to send to my clients. Okay, so I go to compose. And by the way, who uses Mac here? Do you guys all use Mac?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
because I'm gonna show you guys a cool fucking thing. It's called Clippy. Okay, if you go to the App Store, you can find it. It's like Clip, CLIPY, and it's cool because you can post or you can copy a bunch of shit, and it puts it on your clipboard for you. So instead of like going back and forth copying pasting shit, you can literally copy a bunch of shit, and then just if you do Shift Command V, the little sidebar comes up, and I can paste whatever I had just copied. It's a really, really helpful tool and time saver if you guys don't use it already. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll put CMA for 5917 Burlingame. Okay, and then again, since I used Mixmatch, it allows me to pull up my template. So I'll change that to Chris and Annie. Attached is a CMA report for 5917 Burlingame Avenue with recent sales, and all in parentheses put last 1 year of similar size homes, which is, I think I did was 13 to 21. 1,300 to 2,100 square foot in the area which is shown in the map area below. So if you're using mix match, what's really cool is if you do backslash and put CTA, you can do a call to action and you can make these snazzy little buttons. So what I do is I'll put link to listings, okay, and then I'll copy and paste. You remember how I did the email button on Paragon? So that's the email button right there, or link. So I'll put that in. And so now they can click on the link and then actually see details, more details than they would just on Cloud CMA. And then I'll also do CTA and put full CMA report, and then copy and paste the Cloud CMA link. Okay, so that's in there as well.
So Eric, quickly, the first link, the first link you posted was when you
we'll go over it. We'll go over it. Yeah, we'll go over it. I'll show you what it is. Okay, and then for the map area, so the Cloud CMA actually includes the map area, but I just include this because it's a different kind of perspective, and it's a nice visual right when they open the email. So I'll go ahead and put something like map area of where comps were pulled. Okay, so they know exactly what area it's from. And then I'll also pull up the spreadsheet. So all that information is there. And I'll put spreadsheet so you can compare the numbers. And then in parentheses, I'll put click on the attachment below for better resolution. Because if you click on this one, for some reason it comes out all floppy. So I'll just put that. And then now it's pretty much ready to send. So everything looks good to me. I'm gonna go ahead and press send. And that's it. So when I go to send, okay, this is what it's gonna look like when they get it. So when they click on link to listings, it's a link that the Paragon provided. And the reason why I do that is because on Cloud CMA, it's just not as, the pictures and details are just not as thorough. So this way, you know, it's more in the layout of like Redfin or Zillow, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, you click on the listing. I mean, it has all the vitals here. You click on the listing.
This has been super helpful, by the way.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, so like they can look through the actual pictures from the MLS, which is cool. It has all the remarks there. It has all the vitals here, okay? And it's a little bit more user-friendly to navigate than the Cloud CMA. So like now they can look at all these different comparables. It shows you whether it's sold or not. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a really easy way for people to kind of go through it. You know what I mean? Okay. And then, so Patrick, what you were asking, so look, if you go back to Paragon, which is right here, okay, and you go to search, okay, and then it brings you back to this page, right? I always click on status because I like to have it nice and organized like this.
Yeah.
And then if you click on the email button, you click on all the listings, compose email. Okay, and I don't know why they do this, but they used to have the actual link down here, and I used to just copy and paste that. But now you got to highlight it, and when you do, you can edit the link. And then if you copy all of that, you know, that's the link. And then you go back to your email, and by using mix match, if you press the backslash button and you type in CTA, it does a call to action where then you can now, you know, make a title and then copy whatever you just, or paste whatever you just copied. And then you press insert button and voila. Is that what you were asking, Pat?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I wanted to see what the result looked like, but you already showed that. It looks great.
Yep. Yeah. So then, and then you click on the full CMA report and it's the same thing. So it's a little redundant because obviously I've already provided a map photo. I've already posted the list link, whatever, but this way it's just really thorough. So, you know, they can look over now it looks in a professional manner, all the listings, the spreadsheet, and then see, this is what I mean. Like on here, like it just shows you like 2 pictures or whatever. Oops, sorry. Yeah, so like it only shows you a couple. Go ahead.
I was saying, as opposed to the Paragon link, which will give you more of a Redfin experience.
Yeah, so like if you click on this, like, you know, you click on the listing and now you can look through it. So what I'll advise my client is to just have both of these pulled up side by side. And so when you're looking at it, you can like, you know, really the most important thing you want to provide is this spreadsheet right here and also right here, and then have them, you know, go through it. But another cool thing is too, oh, you know what I should have done? Okay, forget what I said about copying the PDF link. What you really want to do is copy the live link, okay? Because the live link is way more interactive. Okay, and I'll show you why. Okay, so again, sorry guys, forget what I said about the PDF link, okay? Click on, did I just confuse the fuck out of you guys? It's not that, it's pretty simple. Instead of clicking on this, you copy this. And then when you're making the button for the live link because it's way easier to navigate through. So like, you know, they can click on that, okay? And this is what I should have sent. So what I'm gonna do is, and these are my friends, so they can fuck right off. So live CMA link. So this is a little bit more user-friendly to use. Disregard the last CMA button. This is easier to navigate. Yo, I'm in a meeting. Are you outside?
No. Did you see the text from Shameen?
No, but I'll call you right back. Hold on. All right, bye. So disregard the last CMA. This is easier to navigate. Okay, so that's it. And then I'll send this again. But yeah, use a live link because it's like way better. Like they have cool functions like this. You know, they can look at comps and it's side by side rather than how it is. So it's easier for them to compare. This is actually way better. So you use the live link. But anyways, that's about it. And we can take questions now. Yeah, we have an offer out, and the agent is hooking us up. She's like, hey, not our offer, Martha. Sorry, it's for another one, but she's hooking us up. Anyways, so yeah, so this is pretty much it, and that's how I send my comps. Questions, comments, concerns, feedback.
Very, very helpful. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, and again, this is going to be recorded. I'll upload it to our Slack, so if you do forget. But what I recommend you guys do is I want you guys to start practicing this, okay? Because running comps is a very, very crucial skill to have. I mean, in this day and age, I mean, buyers are sophisticated. They can pretty much pull their own comps by looking at Zillow, right? But when you send, you know, this really neatly packaged and highly manicured CMA package, it's gonna kind of establish your credibility. And then another thing that you guys can do too is when you're sending that email out, you can make notes and be like, what I used to do is I would like, you know, that spreadsheet. So what I would do is I would pull up the spreadsheet and then like pull it up and like and mark stuff up, so like I'd like notice this one is the closest comp as far as size and all that. Also notice that it had 2 offers, things like that. And when you point shit like that out, it's a lot more helpful to the client. So if you have the time, you can definitely make notes and mentions in that email you send them, just so that it's a little bit easier for them to navigate. And another thing too is, what I'll do is, so when I'm doing a buyer consultation, that's one of the things I mention is that, like, once we start working together, there's a couple of Zooms that you can expect. And one of them is a comp review. Like on the first home that I pull comps for, I'll jump on a quick 30-minute Zoom with them and show them how to read through the comps, because this probably won't be the first or last comps that they're going to see, right? So that way they can navigate through it just as you would for disclosures or offer prep. You know what I'm saying? And when you do that, they really appreciate it because, again, it's a chance for you to establish your credibility. So having said that, I'm going to give you guys some homework. And I'm not sure what the address is going to be yet. How about this? I want you guys to pull comps for this address right here, 5906 Fresno.
Fresno Avenue in Richmond.
That's correct.
I actually saw that house.
You did?
Yeah.
How is it? Is it cute?
Is it active or is it sold?
It is. It's new.
Oh, I saw a different one on Fresno. Is that in their annex? Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
What is the address?
Yeah. So it's 5906 Fresno Avenue. I want you guys to pull comps and send it to me. My email is, you can just send it to Eric at Fast Agents and it will go ahead and forward it to my other email. But yeah, does anyone want to add any questions or comments to this before we leave?
So I have a question and a comment.
Yeah.
My question is, what do you really pay attention a lot to the 20% over and under that I've heard that we should stay in within terms of square footage?
Yeah, so it depends on your client. Like if they're a high D and they're super analytics driven, then yes, I will. And the way I do that is, this is gonna make things a little bit more complicated, but what I do is, if you go to Paragon and you go to the homepage, and Ryan, this is why you want to get on Bridge. This is why I signed up for Bridge, actually, from CCAR. Hold on. Okay.
Yeah, while you're pulling that up.
Yeah.
Just real quick, everyone who's on Bridge and using Paragon, the reason why I'm probably going to switch from SFAR is some of that connectivity from like the data to Cloud CMA. Like it's not as seamless with like other MLS platforms, I guess. So Paragon has some way doper shit. Yeah, I agree. And really the reason why I joined Bridge was because they were rolling out Connect, which is another MLS platform. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm so a creature of habit that I haven't really fucked around with Connect as much as I should. But Kenny was showing me some really cool features on here, and it's pretty similar. But like, let's just say, like, if I were to pull comps on here, maybe we can cover this another time because I haven't done it in a while. But basically, if you pull comps on Connect, there is like a data reporting page on here that shows you like how much, what homes are going over, how much percent, and things like that. So like if you have a really data-driven client, and even if you don't, it's kind of a helpful thing to provide, right? Because when they see different discrepancies of percentages, it's easier for them to decipher, hey, I should go to 20% over, 25% over, whatever the case might be. But I'll figure it out this week, and I'll bring it up next week and show you guys.
So that was the second thing I wanted to bring up. There's actually a page in the Cloud CMA. If you let me share my screen, this is the page I like to show clients a lot. It's kind of that same thing of
what I was just talking about.
Yeah, same thing, but it comes with your Cloud CMA.
Okay, I allowed sharing if you want to go ahead and share.
All right, let's see. So this is just one. Like this page, it'll show you like homes in that neighborhood average 5% over list price. They average 21 days on the market, and then here you'll see list price versus sold price, how much it went over the original list price, days on the market, and then price per square foot.
And if you scroll up, does it show you what the title of the page is?
It is
sold property analysis.
Comparable property statistics, sold property.
No, sold property analysis. Okay, so you know how I was just talking shit and I said there's a bunch of bullshit on there that you want to take off? This is one of those options, so include this. Okay. So again, that's why it's cool. Like if you go to that sidebar on Cloud CMA, there are a lot of cool, helpful things. And so I take back what I said about the bullshit because there are some cool
a lot of them are bullshit.
It is, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Martha. I appreciate you. But yeah,
this is a good one. I like this.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. I mean, Martha, your first question, is that kind of what you were asking? Or you were asking about, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good indicator of what homes are going for in that area, you know. But you just have to be mindful when you're presenting that kind of information because this market is so volatile and like, you know, people are definitely going over 5% or whatever in that area. So just be mindful of that when you're presenting that to the client because obviously it can change. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and yeah, it does depend on what like the numbers show too, because sometimes it'll be like the comps are like a 96%, and you just know that in this market, like that's not ideal, right?
Right.
So it also just depends on what the data shows, I guess.
Totally. Right on. Well, I hope this was helpful for you guys. Again, comps are super important. So your homework for next week is 5906 Fresno Avenue, Richmond. Go ahead and pull some comps and send it over to me as you would a client. And next week we can kind of compare and contrast and kind of go over maybe some challenges that you had. And I want you guys to write those challenges down or maybe even provide some insight that I don't know about. Because obviously I'm not the master of comps. I'm just a little bit more experienced than you guys are. So keep that in mind. You know, the way your skills are going to ever be evolving. I know for me it certainly has, and joining Team Fast has really expedited that. So you know, I'm all about collaboration. So if you guys have some insight you guys would like to share, please do. But otherwise, this is basically pulling comps from 101. I gave you two options. One option is to pull it through Cloud CMA, which is a quick, easy way for you to send it to the client. Especially, let's say if you're on the road and you're in between showings and you have your phone or iPad with you and you want to impress the client and just quickly send them the comps that they were interested in, you know, that's a great way. Because again, you know, pulling those comps took us about a half an hour where a Cloud CMA report took me 5 minutes, right? So again, you would preface it by saying, hey, these are some really quick glance comps that I pulled for you guys. If you look at this and you're still interested, let me know, and we can get into the nitty gritty of the comps and dive a little bit deeper. And so, yeah, so do you guys want to add anything on? Questions? Robert, are you raising your hand?
I know Rob's got a question. I just wanted to say thank you. That was super helpful and really good timing. I've got the most showings I've ever had this week. So really good timing. Thank you.
Awesome, Patrick, keep it up. And, you know, I know you and I personally haven't talked that much, but if you have any questions or need help on anything, you know, feel free to reach out. You can ask Martha. You know, I'm always here to help you guys. So, Robert, what's up, man?
Yeah, man, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone actually for showing up and sharing. Martha, the little piece you added at the end with the sold analysis, that was gold. Thank you for sure. And then Eric, even more of the mechanics I learned this time than the other video you had on Slack. And when you brought in the bring it to Cloud CMA there at the end with select all, that was kind of like an aha moment. So awesome.
Cool.
Also, how you interpret the CMAs is really important. So like when you're just flipping through the photos, I can hear how you think and how you would explain it. So like maybe how you do that review with clients would be of value too. You know what I'm saying? So once you put together the report, how do you explain it when you're flipping through the photos? What's going through your mind since you've been through so many properties basically? But basically just thanks again, man.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and as far as going back to that, what you just said, Robert, I mean, like I said in the beginning, pulling comps is pretty subjective because people have different perspectives on things. But one thing is for sure is like upgradedness, bathrooms and kitchen, namely, and then basically the condition of the house. And then you also, something that I didn't really touch upon is like lot size and things like that, and how much of that lot size is usable. Those are really important too when it comes to nitty gritty. You know what I'm saying? So these are all little factors that you want to consider when you're talking to it with your client. And again, I think that first comp that you pull for your client, you want to go over with them because you want to show them, like how you just saw from my thought process, you want to pass that along to the client so that when they're looking at the comp report that I send them on the next house they're interested in, they know exactly what to look for and kind of what to focus on. And that's kind of what's really important. But yeah, if anyone has anything else to add, unless someone has anything else to add, thank you so much for showing up. And I hope this was helpful. And this is exciting because I know when I learned comp, it took me a while to really master it, as silly as it sounds, because you know, it's about the area. It's not just about the homes, right? You want to know the area. You know, you want to know a little bit about the history of the area, things like that. There's so many little facets of what makes a home worth what it is. But this is definitely a good jumping point. So what I want you guys to do is pull up address or comps for 5906 Fresno, and then send it over to me. Next week we'll talk about it. And in the meantime, if you guys think of any other topics, whether it's how to schedule buyer's tours or you know, offer prep or anything, please bring it up in Slack because this was brought on by you guys. Someone mentioned they wanted to learn about comps, and that's why I focused on this, which is super crucial in your business. So don't be shy. If there's things that you want to talk about and learn more about, please mention that in the Slack so that we can talk about it next week. But otherwise, again, guys, I'm here for you. If you have any questions in the week, hit me up, text me, call me, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can.
All right,
Awesome.
thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No problem, guys. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you next week. All right, thanks for showing up.
Okay.
Rock your week. Let me know if I can help in any way.